We're here at the Web 2.0 Summit in San Francisco, and with me I have Mike Olson, the CEO of Cloudera. How goes?
Very good, thank you, it's great to be here.
So we're catching you before you go on stage right now, correct?
Indeed, and I have to follow great speakers like Hillary Mason, so I'm a little bit nervous about it, but hope it goes well.
As long as you can bring the data and make it a little fun, you'll be fine.
I think we'll be there.
So Cloudera provides, a data management platform based on Hadoop, correct?
That's correct.
Yep, and what kind of adoption are you seeing of that in the marketplace?
Well, enormous is the short answer. Apache Hadoop has been an innovative and powerful platform for data management in the web space now for 6, 7, 8 years. What we're seeing is broad adoption now much more broadly. Financial services, telecommunications, governments, retail, vertical markets generally have big data problems and analytic questions that they want to ask that demand a much more flexible and much more powerful platform than the legacy systems that they're using for other business critical problems. Hadoop is the answer, and it's getting a lot of uptake.
So that actually goes right into the next question. What's changed in enterprise that requires systems that can process big data? Well, basically what you're saying is that the legacy systems, the existing enterprise software that was there 10 years ago, isn't up to the big data challenges that exist right now.
I think that's right, but I want to be clear. I grew up being a relational database guy. I built and sold relational database systems for companies like Informix and Illustra and Oracle. I ran an embedded database company, Berkeley DB. I am a deep believer in the value and the power of those systems. But they grew up in the 80s and 90s in order to solve the business and data problems that we had in the 80s and 90s on an architecture that was invented in the 80s and 90s. Single big server, shared everything, and fairly predictable and small set data types, right? What's happening today is it's very easy to get your hands on terabytes of data. In fact, it's kind of hard not to. You got to be aggressive about throwing stuff away. And the variety of data available has absolutely exploded. So what used to be integers and character strings is now messy log data, trade streaming in at a furious clip, user-generated content, tweets or documents, audio, video. Think about being able to ask a question that encompasses not one or two, but many of those data types, and is able to use techniques like natural language processing, machine learning, to really dive in and understand it. The companies that are successful in future are going to be the ones that can understand their markets, their customers best. Being able to digest all of that data just gives you a leg up, and that's what we're seeing in the market. Companies believe it's competitively critical to do this.
So to then make it concrete, understanding the customers and markets is really what that wash of data distilled down should be doing for you, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let me say that just like relational databases, Hadoop is a very flexible horizontal platform. You can put lots of kind of data in it, and you can run lots of analytics on that data. If you're in financial services, maybe you want a really good picture of the risk portfolio, or of the risk profile of your equities portfolio, right? If you are targeting advertisements at new customers, you probably want to do behavioral clustering and analytics, right? The platform is able to do all those things, but the real question is, what problems, what questions does my business have that I can answer with data? And Hadoop is generally able to help.
So with Hadoop, there's another kind of suite of tools out there. How are they changing, and how are they changing what's possible for governments, industry, all the different parts of the world that really need to make sense of, maybe petabytes or exabytes of data, depending upon where they work?
A couple ways to answer the question, so let me hit both of them quickly. The first is that 5, 6 years ago, there was just Hadoop. It was the platform for data storage and analysis. The problem was critical operational services like data loading, data query, nice user interface, just weren't there. So what you did was hired a bunch of computer programs to deploy the system. These days, there's actually a rich ecosystem of projects surrounding Hadoop, all open source, aimed at filling in those various holes. So we've got CDH, which is a bundle of a Hadoop with a bunch of those open source projects that attacks those problems. We're seeing lots of innovation in that kind of integration with the rest of the infrastructure in your data center, right? Plug data from my relational database into my Hadoop cluster and vice versa. Then in addition, analytic tools, user interfaces, basically business user focused interfaces to this Hadoop cluster are absolutely critical and are we're pretty excited about it beginning to emerge in reasonable numbers now. For a while, it's been possible to point your older relational reporting tools at a Hadoop cluster. We built connectors that make that easy, right? What's really exciting is when you've got a user interface aimed at a business user that knows there's 1,000 nodes of Hadoop underneath the covers, able to use machine learning to really explore the data and then surface it in a way that a business user can get at it. We're seeing those come into existence now. The pace of innovation is great. We're going to see a lot more very successful companies, I predict, build those kind of tools.
So that describes the market for these tools. What are the existing opportunities that haven't been capitalized upon, and what tools haven't been invented yet that need to be out there? And this we'll close with this question.
You know, I think the answer is it's still early days for the analytic tools that I'm talking about. So we do see customers in financial services or partners rather in financial services and retail build those applications. But I think there's a lot of opportunity to build more of them, and there are other vertical markets that are so far not well served. So if you're an analytics type, if you're a data scientist and you want to be an entrepreneur, I would love to help you find a VC to invest in your business.
Okay.
I do think we're going to see more of those tools and more better analytic techniques, more refinement on behavioral targeting, for example, get deployed. The platform is 5-6 years old in the relational space. As it gets deployed on new business problems, there is lots of new innovation. I think there's a bunch of low-hanging fruit. It's a pretty exciting time in data management. Been boring for 30 years in the relational market. I think it's really hot right now.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.